like reaction. It's like I got the influenza.
Uh-huh.
Not great.
My wife gets a reaction. She feels sick for a couple of days, and that's typical. She's
Yeah.
pretty small body, but this year she decided she's going to get one. Her work is encouraging. She works in a elementary school cafeteria, so they're encouraging everybody to get one, and they're giving them out. So she's going to get hers Wednesday.
That's good. That's good. Well, I'd be waiting for the seniors dose too, Pina.
Yeah.
Now you got to be 65 to get that, don't you?
I think so.
I've made 2 trips to the clinic, and on both days I got there too late and didn't get mine.
Oh gosh. Yeah, well, I'm waiting. I'm keeping my eyes open and ears open to see when they're available. Yeah, we're building up the cases here in Canada, a lot more. It's not quite like the US, but.
COVID cases you're talking about?
Pardon?
Are you talking about COVID or the flu?
Yeah, COVID. Oh, flu, I don't know. Maybe people won't get the flu this year if they wear their masks.
Well, it's making the news anyway, with COVID in the spotlight.
Right, and guess who? There too.
Yeah, we've got a star performer now.
Have you got something to start with this evening, any of you? Hi, Tadao.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Tadao.
Hello.
Hello.
Somebody driving a car, right?
It looks
Good
like
Nopadon. Sawadee ka, good Nopadon.
I was wondering what that was at first myself. I thought, oh, that's a steering. It looks like a steering wheel. I look closer.
That's right.
It is.
It is.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Does anybody have any news from Thailand, how things are going there?
Well, I heard it's going pretty well, but it's close to the international tourists or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're smart. It'll be hurting the economy terribly, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They had a curfew there for a while.
Did they?
Yeah, back in like April, I think it was.
Well, they've got them, the bars are closing here earlier. They've got them closing at 10 o'clock. It hasn't affected my social life, but that's what's happening.
Yeah, I stopped having that kind of social life a long time ago.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, Ajahn hasn't turned on her phone yet.
Her mic.
Yeah, she turns it on when she's ready. She connects with Kun M, and it's Kun M who's connecting with us.
Oh, okay.
She connects somehow to Kun M, who gets her on
Change.
Zoom. Yeah,
Who's
yeah.
Anne?
Kind of pain.
Who's Kun Anne? Who's Kun?
Oh, Kun M is Kun Warasak.
Oh, I see.
Villain.
Kun M.
M.
Oh, I understood Anne.
There's
Oh, no, okay, no, M.
Hello.
Still try to connect to Ajahn because maybe
Yes,
she
Ajahn.
forgot something.
Sawasdee, Ajahn.
Yeah, please wait. Or would you prefer to go ahead first, and then when Ajahn connected, I'll tell you.
Sure, we can
Okay.
start that way for a while because there aren't many of us. So folks.
I turn off my video so that Ajahn doesn't see me having pumpkin soup.
All right, eat your pumpkin soup in privacy.
Hi, Tom. Hello, Tom.
You got your mic You got your mic muted, Tom.
No wonder I'm so quiet. Hello,
Yeah. Hello, Tom, Beverly.
Hello, Pioneer, how are
you?
you?
Beverly says she wants a
Okay.
mute button too. Right.
Oh, you're hugging the mute button, eh?
No, she wants it for me in daily life, right?
Oh, this is not Dhamma at all, but Glenn showed me a recording of the beginning of last night's Saturday Night Live. And they did a spoof on the debate this past week.
Oh, well, that was a spoof in itself, so.
Yes, well, this was a spoof on the spoof. And at one point, I think it was Jim Carrey who was doing Biden. One point you see Trump suddenly freeze. And there's Jim Biden standing there with a remote. He froze him.
Well, that's the next one they were going to have, whether we have it or not, I don't know now.
Yeah, mute buttons.
Right.
Somebody said that now Democrats believe in God and Republicans believe in science. You can think about that for a minute.
Places now. Switch places.
Right. Well, hi, Betty.
Oh, hi,
Hey,
where's
how are you?
Betty?
Today's the first Monday I can join. Don't have
Oh,
to
hi, Betty. Good to see you.
hair. Looks great. Today's the first day I don't have to go with my husband to a doctor's appointment or something.
Oh,
good.
okay.
Yeah,
That sounds good.
Is that a good sign?
that is. Yes, I think so.
Excellent. Oh, that's good.
We gotta
Good.
go to the doctor. Let's put it that way.
Right.
How's everybody? How's everybody been doing?
Fine, thanks.
Surviving, doing okay.
What?
We're doing okay here.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah. I got to vote. I voted. Absentee ballot.
Okay.
Is it going to,
Already,
Well,
yeah.
I didn't get my absentee ballot yet. I'm still waiting for my ballot.
You can't go where you live. You can't go to the polls.
Well, I can, but they were encouraging, especially the seniors, to get absentee.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
sent in for an absentee ballot, but it hasn't
better
arrived
go to
yet.
the polls. You might, because otherwise they probably throw away a whole bunch of ballots they don't think is in their favor.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah,
I-
they do. It's already happened with the primaries. But anyway, never mind. Talk about that.
we
Yeah, I
have
got-
our own election in British Columbia. The premier called it about 10 days ago. Everybody's can't believe it. It's not a fixed date thing.
Oh,
Oh,
so
Hi, Alberto.
sorry.
And if you don't like yours, you can come and have ours.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello,
sorry, I don't
Alberto.
know Jeff. Hello, Jeff. I'm Betty.
Hi. And where are you from?
Bangkok.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're in Bangkok. It's 7 a.m. here. So,
and we're here.
7 in the evening here.
yeah.
at
Okay.
7 in the evening here.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
just south of me.
Jeff, where do you live?
Minnesota.
Oh, in Minnesota. Okay.
Yep.
I hope you're enjoying Ilan Omar.
And Alberto's up in the middle of the night, folks.
What's that?
Yeah.
Alberto is up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
right. 2
Middle of the night over there. Yeah.
2 a.m.
2
Many
2
people-
a.m. That's amazing.
The night is young.
The
Yeah.
night is young. The morning is young.
Oh, Dow is here and Tom is here. Roti. Where's Roti?
He's eating his dinner.
It's on the list here. If you click on participants and then
Oh, he's there. He's there.
Here,
He's
Yeah.
there. We're
I'm
seeing him
listening,
here.
Mom Betty. Hi, how are you?
Now John and Sarah have
there's
just
Roti.
arrived.
That's her name. Roti, we can't see you. Just her name.
Yeah, because I'm having dinner and I don't want everybody to see me chewing.
Everybody's voice has missed you guys.
Hi, Sarah.
Is Sarah joining?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, John.
Yes, we're running a bit late.
Wow.
John's just coming.
We're running, yes, we are too, but we can get started, I think.
Yeah, is John? Yes.
She'll come. Yes, she'll come when she's ready.
Yes.
More or less there.
John
Oh,
needs
good.
to look as
In.
well.
So Ken, good morning. Good evening. No, morning for you, morning.
Day, evening.
Good morning, good evening to everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have something to get started with?
Oh, go ahead.
Sawadee
Sawadee
ka.
Sawadika, Sawadika.
John.
Please frame.
Okay. Does anyone have something to start with here?
What did you talk about last time?
Could you remember?
Do we remember?
Not really.
Dhamma and Rupa.
No.
Anything can be a subject of discussion.
Right. I heard part of I listened to a recording, John, about that was done on your Saturday session where there was discussion about Upanisaya Gojara, Araka Kojara, and Upanibandha Kojara. And I have to confess, there was a lot of it that I was not quite understanding, possibly because I was sleepy, but maybe not. Anyway, it seemed that it was important to know these classifications, and what I was picking up was that Upanisaya Kojara was the beginning of understanding of an object, Kojara.
Okay, that's why we have to talk very slowly about each word to understand it clearly. For example, is that Aramana right now?
Yes.
Is it Upanisya Kojara?
No.
No, because there's intellectual understanding now, but no deeper understanding. Excuse me.
We have to begin from the very beginning of this moment. There must be Aramana, but what Chitta experiences, it is unknown. But from hearing, studying the teachings of the Buddha, we learn to understand that actually what appears does not appear as it really is. That's why it appears as so many things around. But that cannot be Upachara Nisaya Kojara, because don't know what it is, but while there is more and more understanding of the teachings of the Buddha, we learn about the true nature of each reality as it is, right? And
Yes.
that is intellectual understanding, because even now we're talking what is seen, it still be something so very, very fast, arising and falling away unknown. That's why no one can directly experience the arising and falling away of the object right now. But the Buddha enlightened the truth of it, that there are so many rupas, not just one, but that which can see is that which must be the form Mahabhutarupa. We don't know anything about Mahabhutarupa, but when we learn the teachings, we understand that without the Mahabhutarupa, there cannot be anything appearing at moment of seeing at all. But the Mahabhutarupa cannot be the seen, the visible object to be seen. That's why what appears does not appear as it is, right?
Yes.
In order to understand the truth of each moment, each reality as it is, we have to consider how far from this moment to directly experience the nature of that which is seen as no one and nothing at all. It cannot arise without its proper condition. But now we cannot understand the conditions for anything at all because it appears unknown, the truth of it, to anybody who does not have any understanding of the word of the Buddha. That's why from now on, the understanding of what should be the object that can bring about understanding the truth of each moment must be the understanding of the object as it is, as it cannot be taken for anything at all, because it can only be seen, see, different from the moment when there is touching. It's different again. Each one is different, so nothing can be taken for self, beginning from more and more understanding the truth of reality right now. Right now, it begins the development from not understanding anything with so many akusala cover the truth of it from day to day. That's why even the intellectual movement cannot protect the moment of akusala and the moment of ignorance. That's why from hearing and considering, the understanding develops little by little. What do you feel now? See, pleasant or unpleasant, kusala or kusala is unknown, but no one can stop if the unpleasant feeling is now appearing. No protection, because the reality which can protect citta from akusala must be sati. So at moment when there's no sati, and we don't know what sati is yet, because even now at moment of understanding, it's there, but it's no, and at the moment of understanding that it's not self. That's why it takes quite a long time to have the protection, the sati, not to let the kusala arise, because it protects from the understanding of the truth, little by little, and this is meant by parami. With our parami, we know that what appears now is not anything, only that which can impinge on the eyebase, but it does not appear as that at all now, but it develops the understanding, and akusala cannot understand this because of avijja is so great, it's there all the time. So it's right the long way to go against the current of ignorance and all dhammas, which are avijja and kilesa, ignorance. That's why it needs the kusala moment to develop stage by stage from intellectual understanding to be the direct awareness. It's not easy, it's not very short, but it's the development of not self, the sankhara khanda and the Dhamma, see, which can be protection from kusala and akusala. That's why seeing the danger of ignorance, it hinders the understanding anytime, as long as it's what's there is something. It's not the nature of each reality as it is conditioned to arise to be just that and then fall away, unknown all the time. That's why what Buddha taught us about parami, so many paramis, not only panya parami, but panya parami works its way to develop all kinds of kusala at any moment, just right now. If there's no understanding whether what kind of feeling is, what kind of thinking is, what kind of memory is, see, we don't know at all about no self and no thing. But at moment of understanding is, even at moment of developing the understanding of that which is seen as nothing at all. What about the five khandas and the four nama khandas now, which experience it? As long as it's not known directly as not self, the understanding of this develops more and more until there can be more understanding of whatever appears now in daily life, until it is upanibandha kochara, the moment of directly understand that. But it's so very weak in the beginning, so it needs more and more about the Araka Kochara because of the understanding of the reality so firmer and firmer enough to condition moment of even in a day before coming to listening or discussing what were there before. Akusla, unknown, no protection. It depends on sati at different level, listening, considering, and at the moment when whatever appears, even thinking about it's not me, it's not anything, it's not that, it's only hardness, not my legs, not my finger anymore. It's rarely arise because not enough conditions for its arising. The lack of parami cannot lead to the understanding directly now of that which is experienced, even for a short moment. But the nimitta can condition the moment of understanding little by little about that which is now appearing. So we can understand it without upanisya kochara. There cannot be araka kochara. Without the araka kochara, then cannot be the moment of upanibandha kochara. Even so, the arising of upanibandha kochara is few, not more at all. So right understanding of the upanisya kochara condition different moments in life before there can be more and more moment of direct awareness with understanding. Otherwise, it's useless, meaningless to have just only sati arise without understanding. Even now, it arises without understanding at level of upanibandha kochara. So each moment just creep on slowly, very slowly, while all the dhammas develop, leading by the panya, which understand the advantage, the benefit of moment of kusala. Otherwise, full of akusala in a day and just learn about or just think about, but no moment of direct awareness of our reality yet. That's why this is life, real life, because it's now. Is there Upanisya Kochara? Yes. What chitta is there? When it's not kusala, there's no protection from it, more and more akusala. But when panya develops, it sees the danger, the moment without understanding. So dangerous because from moment it goes on to another moment, covers up the nature of reality right now, not being appear to that high level of panya, because it's only just intellectual understanding, which sometimes condition moment of thinking about that, no matter what is appearing. Just thinking and then go on to know that thinking is not direct understanding yet. That's why no one can develop, but kusala can condition more kusala in a day rather than the akusala in a day. That's the way to develop panya higher, because it needs sati to protect from or akusala at any moment, depending how gross it is that panya, which arises with sati, can think about, can know more about, or can be moment of direct awareness with understanding of that characteristic as one has known, but not strong enough to let go the idea of self. That's why it takes time from moment of direct awareness with the Upanishad Kochara and Araka Kochara to develop on and on to other moment, until it's strong enough to be Vipassana Jnana different stages. Is this not true? Is this not life? It is not now.
Adanka, so the Gocharas are Jetasikas.
Sati is the Araka Kochara, because all have to come to no one, but they are Chitta or Chetasika or Rupa, no self. Otherwise, it's me again who tries, who knows, or who just wait for Upanda Nibbana without any more kusala before to be conditioned for that very moment.
Eti, the gochara means resort, and here it's referring to the object of understanding. So, for example, at the moment of understanding now of what is seen, what is visible, that what is visible is the gochara of that understanding. So it's the resort of the understanding.
So it's not a Jetasika.
No, it's whatever reality appears, whatever is understood at that moment.
It's in the nature of that reality
It's
appearing.
the object. It's referring to the aramana of the understanding. So if we're talking about the first one, talking about the Panisya gochara, it's the object. It's the right object of the right understanding that develops until it's a protection.
But if you were going to distinguish between the different gochara, the object could be the same, or any reality is the object, of course, of understanding. So the reference, I think, is, Betty, is you could say it's to understanding, awareness and understanding. So Jetasikas, as you say, but specifically awareness and understanding, different levels of awareness and understanding. But it's a reference to that by way of talking about the object.
It has to be the object that of reality as taught by the Buddha. So before we heard about the Buddha's teachings, we'd hear about sound or taste or pleasant or unpleasant feeling, but it's just an idea of something or someone, or the sound of the birds, or my pleasant feeling. So this is the referring to the gochara is the reality itself, which there can be understanding of in the beginning intellectually. And so it is the gochara as only taught by the Buddha.
That's why when Achan was saying it's sati, which functions as protection, that does not mean sati of any level. It has to be with right understanding. Means even jhana is not good araka.
So from moment of understanding the Upanishad gochara, no kusala after them, or akusala, can they be conditioned for the Upanibandha gochara, the moment of understanding the truth, the nature of that object which hasn't known before, little by little. So what condition? Because when we think about the Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, anything can be conditioned for whatever the result it is. But when there is panya, it does not mean that when there is panya, the kusala, which has no panya, can arise. But it means that whenever any kusala arises, it depends on whether there is panya as its base or not, foundation or not, to condition different moment of kusala, sometimes with panya and sometimes without panya. See? But the moment when there is no understanding of the Upanishad gochara at all, no one knows what for and why it conditions such more kusala, that which hasn't happened before, like cannot give the thing you like more than the other thing, can be done by understanding the danger of clinging. See, so it depends on whether the kusala is based on panya or not, or by only accumulation in the past, because no one can stop the different jetasikas to arise to be as each one is. Panya is panya, but without understanding at all, ignorance is there. So can there be panya? That's why in order to understand that actually there's no one and no thing, there are only different realities conditioned by so much more different conditions from moment to moment. When there is no understanding of panya, there are conditions for kusala at level of no understanding of reality as not self at all. But when there is panya, it begins, but not all at once, but it has to develop from seeing Seeing is panya, the danger of ignorance. That's why we are here to discuss the very subtle point, the very profound subject to study the reality of each moment is there, unknown. That's why in order to understand it, Panya sees the danger of akusala and seeing that when there are so many moments of akusala in a day, it's impossible for the even thinking about the truth which has said does not arise in a day. So we study Dhamma in real life, not self. What are they? So many conditions for different moment. And in order to have the understanding of the value of kusala, with otherwise there cannot be moment of kusala. Just be pleasant all the time, not thinking about the truth of this moment. But even so, all depends on conditions. And panya is also pakatu panisya pajya, true for all kusala, when there are panya as the base from intellectual understanding. Otherwise, it cannot develop at all. And it cannot be parami. That's why there are so many paramis, not only just one. Even dana, see, and sila, seeing that the danger of sila at that moment very strong, akusala, so it can condition such and such, develop behavior in a day. Unknown how little or how much, how very weak and how very strong, all there appearing in a day, unknown. That's why panya develops from moment of even not thinking, but the pakatu panisya pajya of understanding is there to condition little by little of understanding in daily life to develop until its moment of unexpected direct awareness of any object which is not known before because it hasn't arisen yet. See, this is life, real life. From years and years ago, those Savaka had developed parami in order to have moment of direct understanding, which is the Upanibandha, not just once, but the understanding, which understand that is so very difficult to experience this moment as it is, the arising and falling away until more and more higher and higher understanding can condition the moment of Marka, see, for Ariya Satya Dhamma. Otherwise, we underestimate the moment of kusala, that it cannot be conditioned for higher understanding. When it based on panya, it's there little by little according to how much panya is there right now. From then up to now, how much understanding of this moment can be known by each one as it is. Not the other person can tell. That's why the strength of panya cannot be known by other people at all. It depends on understanding whether this is the Upanipanda, Upanisya, Kojara, but it does appear, but it's there as conditions. That's why to understand the conditions of whatever appear, even cannot be the first vipassana. Even one learned a lot about pajya or many pajyas, but it's working now. Unknown, Pakatu Panisya and other Pakatu Panisya, they perform their function unknown all the time, even right now. It depends on how much understanding to see the danger of even just a little bit of misunderstanding. That it cannot condition the moment of letting go the idea of self because it's so very, very thick, very, very firm, very, very strong. It's wrong because it can condition moment of akusala. And it gets stronger and stronger when it can develop more kusala as not self until its moment of direct awareness. Even right now, when there are conditions for direct awareness to arise, it's there. But Panya knows the difference between moment before that, which is not the direct understanding, Upanibandha, and later on the moment of reality, Chitta, at that moment, which is not Upanibandha. Panya understands clearer and clearer so that it can see the hidden lopa until all misunderstanding or wrong understanding can be less and less and less until to the end.
So Chan, just to be sure, and I was wondering on Saturday too, were you just saying that even the kusala that arises based on past understanding is protection, is araka?
Right now, see, do you know, how can there be the understanding? Why we are talking about this? What condition? Where is the Pakutu Panisya? And where is moment of Upanisaya Kojara? Because it does not appear, it's the Pachaya. Even at moment of seeing, it's not only the eye base as condition, or the visible object which is conditioned, even the karma which conditioned this moment to see only this object. See, no one knows. It's the work or the function of Dhammas, unknown as Pachaya, until by then, when an object appears to Vipassana Jnana, no doubt about the conditions, with no name about what condition at all, because so many conditions do not appear, but they are just conditions for that to understand the object clearly about. It cannot be taken for anyone because it suddenly just arises. And what condition the arising of that moment, different from other moment, it must be by many conditions. Otherwise, it is the moment of thinking about, not Vipassana Jnana. That's why the teachings of the Buddha can be considered clearer and clearer with Panya, which is developed little by little to understand that clearer. As it's conditioned to arise, nothing can be done. Even the moment of direct awareness is conditioned because it's sudden arising. No thought about it. It proves the nature of anatta all the time, clearer and clearer, before it can be completely eradicated, which can be this moment or any moment. No selection, no thought about it has to be this object only or that object only. Because that object hasn't arisen yet, and sati, direct awareness, hasn't arisen yet. So how can there be the understanding what will be? But there must be conditions for all realities to arise differently, only once in lifetime, never to return again, even just a moment before, now. So don't mind about the past and don't cling to the future, because that can be known as what appears now, which is very truth that it arises and falls away unknown, succeeded by another reality so very fast that no one can understand or penetrate the arising and falling away by just one. But there must be as nimitta, according to the process, which Buddha told us all about different processes. eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind.
So Sukin, I think the point was that the panya, any panya developing now can be conditioned for any kind of kusala, dana or sila or even jhana, who knows, for any kusala whatsoever. And that kusala which develops with understanding or conditioned by understanding is the protection from akusala arising at those times, and the support for the understanding to develop by way of being paramis, the support for it to be direct understanding, but it needs the support of the other kusala conditioned by it to be protection, because when one's overwhelmed with akusala, for example, no conditions for that direct understanding. So any kusala conditioned by the understanding, by the right, firm intellectual understanding, in order to condition the direct understanding.
So Sarah, would it be correct to say that the same principle applies to development of Baramis? It's like kusala that is conditioned by panya, and it may not be panya at that time. It can also be Barami because of past panya.
Who can say, like, if at moments of metta now, it may be conditioned by understanding that arose before, but the metta itself at this moment may be with or without understanding, but it still may have been conditioned by understanding, by Pakatu Upanisya Pachya, which is such a broad condition and works in so many ways. So like when one talks about the lives of the Bodhisattva, like through the Jatakas, it doesn't mean that every moment of metta and generosity must be conditioned with understanding of realities, but conditioned by panya before to bring about that great kusala. And I was just going to say a little more to Betty about the term. So Upanisya Gochara. So Gochara is the resort of the understanding, the object which is understood. And Upa means strong and Nisya, support. So it is the understanding of that right object which accumulates, like in Upanisya Pachya, strong support condition. So the understanding of, by hearing about what is seen as visible object or the sound that's heard, the understanding accumulates so that object is the strong support for understanding to accumulate more and more because of having heard the meaning of it. Like if we've never heard what sound is, then it cannot be the understanding of that sound which accumulates, but by hearing and considering, like now, it's a condition for that understanding of that particular object to accumulate. And araka means protection, as Ajahn said. So the understanding leads to more kusala, which is the protection from akusala with that object of understanding. And upani bandha, bandha means binding, nibandha means not binding. So when there is understanding, it is not binding. There is detachment at that moment. And upa is strong, so it's the object of strong, not binding. In other words, the object of direct understanding, the opposite of the usual binding in samsara.
And can we say that before understanding the truth of reality, there is a binding to the akusala? But when there is the understanding, it changes its object to bind from the akusala, not understanding, to bind the moment of kusala and understanding better and better, stronger and stronger, not to go away from the moment of understanding the truth of reality. That is the goal, the destination, the point of studying the truth of reality, because it's in each moment, but the moment of understanding it directly will lead to the penetration of the truth as it's arising and falling away.
Ajahn, I'm looking at the meaning in somewhere. It's instead of binding, it's used close connection, and I think it makes sense in the sense that being close to a certain kind of, I mean, like one is akusla, one is kusla, one is with panya, one is without panya. So once it is upanibandha gochara, means it's connected to the object of the Buddhas, as we said last time. And closer means direct.
The truth, the reality, the arising and falling away, no return of each object. So what binds now? The axula so strong, it binds very strongly, and the Upanishad bandhara bind at moment of when there is the understanding of this movement as it is. Hardness cannot be arms or legs, nowhere. It's just at the moment when the experiencing experiences it, that's all. No place, no other place at all. Not in the room, not in the air or whatever. It's that which is there when it's conditioned to arise. See, it is the moment of letting go when there's more and more understanding of conditions, just to understand that it's not self because it is that which experience and that which cannot experience is not enough until there is more and more understanding, even intellectually. That's why we study from one word to another word to another word to understand clearly so they can conform the truth as no self, no one. It's only conditioned reality by so many conditions. And there can be understanding from studying, intellectual understanding. But can anyone know condition at the moment when whatever appears? Because it's a moment of being conditioned already to be experienced. Right now, what is there? See, if there is no understanding of the truth of whatever appears, it's impossible to get rid of the idea of something. And something is atta, but nothing is anatta, or no one, no self. The truthfulness, the Satya Bharami, is there now to understand the truth of different objects, whether with panya, whether it is upa nibandha kochara, as we understood, but it does not appear as it yet, because it does not lead to the moment of upanibandha kochara yet. Until then, and just once is enough. That's why it has to be conditioned more and more by the understanding of the Upanishad Kochara. And when it's there of understanding or of kusala at any level, it is that araka, the moment not to be as before ignorance and all akusala, to be moment of beginning to be bound by understanding. Tamas anatta or Upanishad Kochara or Araka Kochara or Upadana Nipanda, all condition, become conditioned from moment to moment of what is there now. So now, say, do you have to think about whether it is Upanisya Kojara or Arakan Kojara or Upanibandha Kojara? It's not conditioned to be self-shaking at moment of understanding with the direct awareness.
Excuse me, Ajahn, did you just say it's not I'm sorry, I didn't pick up what you just said. It's not conditioned to be.
She mentioned that when it is a moment of understanding, direct understanding of reality, there's no thought about, is this Upanisya Gochara or is it Araka Gochara or Upanibandha
Right.
or what's the meaning of this term, because it's just the understanding of the reality that appears. Yeah. So it's not like when there's understanding, one has to know what the terms mean or what level it is, because at that moment, Panya just understands the object, no thinking about it.
Right, thank you.
You asked at the beginning, Anne, about, or someone asked about topics discussed last time, and one that was discussed at the end of the last session was about karma and death. And Tutin and Tadal afterwards had exactly the same question about the karma conditioning the last cheetahs in life. I don't know, Tadal, if you'd like to ask any more about this point. Maybe he's not.
No, what I'd like to know about is the karma which affect the 5 Javana Chitta before a death is the same karma which produce the Patisanti Chitta in the following life or not. Is it clear?
Yes, I think your question was, well, there were 2 points. One, how it is that karma can condition those last 5.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Cheetahs,
Yes.
even though it's by way of Bhakti Upanisya Pachya, but still they're conditioned by karma. And then the second part of your question was whether the karma that conditions those last cheetahs, whether it's the same karma that conditions the birth consciousness in the next life, because the object is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I said that it must be the same karma that conditions the last cheetahs to experience that same object as the following birth consciousness and bhavangas and so on. But I'm sure Ajahn has a much deeper explanation.
When will the past karma condition the result? So many karmas have been done from life to life. So which one can produce the moments before death to be the same object as the object of Patisanti? It has to be the one which is ready by conditions, not so many conditions, no selection at all, but that ready karma, which will produce the next birth for sure, condition the object that can be experienced by citta, which is conditioned to be kusala or akusala by conditions. By then, the citta which arises after death has the same object. So it's because of the same karma. Can there be death now? Who knows what is there to be objects? But that karma, any Dhamma, any karma which has been done can be the condition for its arising any time, can be in this life or past life or next life according to the readiness of each karma. Even right now, seeing is conditioned by the past karma, which one in the past we don't know in what life, cannot be known at all. The same as the moment of death. What is there cannot be known, but by conditions, the karma which is ready to condition next birth, condition the object and the citta, which be kusala or akusala according to experiences of object, share the same object as the next birth. That's all. So what kind of birth of the object of birth now, you know? What kind of the object of Pawanka is there now? Unknown. When it's unknown, does anyone try to know? As it cannot be known. When there is object appearing now, what is the Upanishad Khojara of it?
Be understanding, some intellectual understanding of it. The object of which there is an intellectual understanding, not without knowing the exact object, but knowing how shall I say? Knowing some of the causes for what object might arise.
The Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, when we learn, can the karma produce the kusala and the kusala citta?
Okay. Yes, I think so.
It can be understood now, while the other moment before death cannot be understood yet. But now, from studying the Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, can the past object or the akusala karma or akusala citta in the past condition akusala citta now?
Yes.
See, that's why it is Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, as it is, as it is, as it is. Nobody can change the way it is. That's why one karma in the past, which is ready to condition the next moment after death, which is the birth consciousness, can produce the object, and the citta, which experiences that, is part of the condition of karma to condition kusala moment or a kusala moment to be conditioned. Another one question, another one condition to condition the birth consciousness. Right now, the past karma condition kusala citta and kusala citta at this moment, but Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, not by Sahachata karma or anything or any other Pachaya. That's why it's the complex of each moment of citta conditioned by so many real conditions, not just in this life, but not even just as more than that. See, that's why the karma cannot be known, and the result of it cannot be known, but can be understood, not as much as Buddha.
And it's so complicated because that past karma, let's say a great act of generosity performed last year, it can be a condition for kusala citta's wise reflection now by way of Pakatu Panisya Pachaya, but it can also be a condition now for akusala citta's strong attachment to that generosity or the idea of my generosity, my generous deed that was done. So we can see that the influence of karma and the complexity of the different conditions is very intricate. But actually those last cheetahs in life is just like now, can be conditioned by past karma and Pakatupanisya Pachya to be just the way it is now, the kusala or the akusala.
And the Pakatupanisya Pachaya is what we often refer to as accumulations. Is that right?
The accumulated tendency, like
Yeah.
the accumulated tendency of clinging to that kusala as my kusala, that tendency of clinging to it as mine has been accumulated from long in the past by Pakatupanisya Pachya. And the wise reflection now that it's just Dhamma, it's not self, it's not mine, that wise reflection is also accumulated. And that's exactly what we're talking about when Ajahn was talking about Upanisya. It's the object that can be the object of the wise reflection and wise understanding to be accumulated until it's firmer and firmer to condition the direct understanding. And only this is the real, only the development of this understanding can be the real protection from akusala. Doesn't mean akusala doesn't arise, but gradually the understanding works its way to protect from wrong view, wrong practice, and other strong akusala. Like if there's anger now, it can be by conditions, but gradually there's more understanding that it's a dharma and it's so useless, and the problem is not the other person or the thing, but just that accumulated tendency. And whatever one's mad about's gone instantly, nothing to be so disturbed by. So gradually the understanding works its way.
Right. Earlier, Sarah, you said something about just a minute, objects. A strong, what are we doing? It's when you were talking about Gochara, the resort of understanding, the object of understanding, strong support for it. You talked about, I thought I heard you say, talking about it's a strong support for that object to be understood. As, oh dear.
Upa means strong and Nisya means support. So by reflecting again and again on how it really is just visible object that's seen now, not a person, not someone, it becomes the object that is the support for understanding to develop again and again by understanding that reality. So this is the way the understanding accumulates, becomes more and more habitual or used to that reality as it is.
Right. So when you mention visible object, then the visible object that arises, it's never the same visible object, because visible object arises and falls away completely. It's gone. So are you saying support for whatever visible object may arise?
It's always the understanding of the object that accumulates, not the object itself. Like
right.
Visible object is seen all the time, but usually with no understanding. So when there's no understanding, it's not a support for anything. So it's the understanding of the visible object which develops and accumulates and becomes firmer through understanding that understanding visible object is just that which is seen, no matter what visible object, no matter whether it was the one in the past or one in the future, it's just that which is seen. So more and more confidence that it really is just that which is visible that is seen, no person, no bookshelves, no picture, just that which is visible, which is seen. So the confidence develops with the understanding so that it becomes a protection, araka, from wrong view and going astray and strong akusala, leading to direct understanding of visible objects, sound, whatever reality appears. So without hearing the Buddha's teaching, one heard about visible object and there's no understanding, no support of anything, because it's just meaningless. It's just an idea of concepts. So it's always referring to the understanding of that object which accumulates.
And that object could be visible object, sound,
any reality.
Any reality.
That's
So
why we talk about the realities appearing now in daily life, because as Ajahn often says, passa, it doesn't appear, but hardness appears now, sound appears now, seeing appears now, it's real. So becoming used to understanding that seeing is just a reality that arises for a moment and sees what is visible, not my seeing, not anyone's seeing, and then falls away instantly, so that the wise reflection gets used to the fact that it is just seeing which sees. And this is Upanisya Gotra, the object of understanding, which is wisely reflected on until it leads to the direct understanding of seeing.
Right. Right. So when you say use visible object as an example, it's a stand-in for any object.
Any reality of being, seeing, hearing, kindness, anger, whatever appears.
Right.
And for people like for some of the disciples in the Buddha's time, they'd only need to hear a few words about visible object or seeing or sound and understanding it immediately. But we need to hear and reflect again and again in order for that wise reflection to condition direct understanding of what appears now.
Okay, thank you.
And Tadao, any more questions about karma? Because it's very deep topic, karma and birth and those last cheetahs and...
No, I'm okay. But I have a question about Gochara, yeah? So Upanisaya Gochara and Araka Gochara and Upanibandha Gochara, yeah? There seems to be time lapse. That is Upanisaya Gochara first, then Alaka Gochara, then after that, Upanibandha Gochara. Is it a right sort of understanding that there is time lapse among these three types of Gochara?
I don't understand it that way. Without Upanisya Gotra, there cannot be Araka Gotra, and without Upanisya and Araka Gotra, there cannot be Upanibandha Gotra. But when there is moments of direct understanding in between many moments of, countless moments of Upanisya Gotra and Araka Gotra, so it's like they develop together, but it just shows that without the wise considering, without hearing about dharmas and reflecting, there cannot be the direct understanding. If we haven't heard the Buddha's teaching, then the understanding cannot accumulate and cannot lead to direct understanding, and there cannot be any protection from wrong practice and other akusala. But it's not like once there is direct understanding, there's no Upanisya Gotra, no protection. No, they develop together.
Yeah, it's clear.
I'm sure I've
What
done.
Kotra is, excuse me, what Kotra is there now? See, there is Aramana, but what is Upanishya Kojra now, or not yet? It's just as usual. No understanding of it to be Upanishya Kojra, to lead to the moment of understanding clearly and clearly later. It has to begin with the Upanishya Kojra. But when it's the moment of kusala based on the understanding of Dhamma, no one, no self, that moment without panya is the result of Upanishya Kojra as well as the other conditions. But one can see closer or nearer when there is the understanding of the nature of reality. It conditions the kusala different from moment when there is no understanding of the Upanishya Kojra. Is that right? Without any understanding of the Upanishya Kojra, even it is kusala, but it's different because it's not conditioned by the Upanishya Kojra. But who knows at this moment what conditions what? So many conditions. But that which bring about the understanding of that must be from hearing and considering as the pariyatti, to be the Upanishya Kojra later. Because now it's not yet the Upanishya Kojra, even the object is the same, visible object cannot be changed at all. It has to be that which can be seen. The only reality that can be seen is only this one, but the other reality is not cannot be seen at all. And this is bring about to understand the moment of seeing that it sees what? It begins to be kusala, but it depends on whether that moment is with panya or just thinking about it or whatever it is. It can be different from a kusala moment. That's why we learn the difference between moment which is conditioned as pakatu panisya pacaya to be kusala with panya or without panya, depending on other conditions as well, because all can be the pakatu panisya pacaya. So it depends on what kind of pakatu panisya pacaya, what reality which is pakatu panisya condition that moment to be kusala or akusala at different levels. But at moment of understanding, sati is there as the protection. No one can stop at sati not to arise in the world at all, because all realities are not being to control at all. It cannot be controlled. That's why they are anatta. That's why to understand the moment as not self, why? The characteristic which experiences as seeing or hearing cannot be taken for self. That's why the point is not just understand the object, but what about that which experiences the object? It's there, unknown, the clinging, the upadana of vedana or sanya or ekata or whatever for namakhandas are there, to be known later, because it cannot be known all at once. It depends on what is the object. Cannot be selected, cannot be chosen at all by conditions. And this is the way to understand the nature of anattanness from the moment of understanding to realization of its nature as not self. That's why it takes quite a long, long time for paccaya to develop from moment to moment to be such and such. So at this moment, what is the object? Is it the Nibbana? Yet, no, it's conditioned. Depending on what condition is there, who knows? But there can be the moment of understanding that the understanding of the teachings can protect moment from akusala, from being akusala as usual. This is quite a very different very, very, very few or very, very less akusla from which is conditioned by ignorance. Any moment of akusla is conditioned by ignorance. But when ignorance is less and less, it's time for panya and other wholesome conditions to condition such and such moment. That's why what can be known now is whether it's the Upanishad Kojara or not yet. But whatever is kusala must be protected by sati, not to be akusala, depending on whether there are other conditions like panya at level intellectual understanding or upanishad kojara. See, but the understanding of that which appears is the most important because it appears. When it does not appear, how can there be the understanding of that like phassa or manasikara or ekakata? See, it's there in a moment, very short moment that can not be known. Only one object can be known, no matter it is nama or rupa. So the point from understanding the intellectual understanding of the upanishad kojara can condition moment of some understanding little by little. That's why now is the proof whether it is moment of understanding characteristic, which is that which can be seen, only that, as not anything at all, or the experiences which just arises to see, it can see only, it cannot do other thing. And this is the result of the upanishad kojara, because it's there to be known as it is, as not self, little by little, before it can appear well or clearer and clearer to the highly developed panya. See, but it's nothing to find out whether it's this moment be the araka or the upanishad or the upanda, but the worth of this moment is the understanding of the object as it is. The conditions are there to be known later, to letting go a little more misunderstanding and wrong view of self. See, it's very deep and subtle to understand all of this moment, but some can be understood as the object, as that which cannot be other thing at all, just that which can be seen in each life, any life. And that which experiences cannot be seen because it just arises to be the chief of experience in that object. Even there are many cetasikas with that moment, not cetasikas cannot be known as at that moment citta experiences it until any cetasika appear as object. So panya begins to understand that cetasika as it is, no name whether what we call it, but the understanding of the truth of it is there. See, so it develops unknown at once, but it can be known little by little about what we are talking about. The Upanishad Kojara and the Araka, there must be sati, and whether it is Upanibandha or not Upanibandha yet, but the Upanishad Kojara is there as it is there when it arises and it develops little by little too. This is the truth of each moment from moment to moment. As one is trying to find out the karma from which condition the citta and aramana at that moment, this is as worthy as understanding this moment as it is, because what appears is gone all the time unknowingly. Very difficult to understand it little by little. Without the sati and sampajanya, panya, which has been developed from the intellectual understanding as to what is Upanishad, it's impossible to condition movement of direct awareness. No need to find out what are they, our tree or what. They are there as conditions for sure.
And I think it's a very good point that you're stressing, Ajahn, about sati as protection, because the function of sati is to guard from akusala. So when we're talking about araka gochara, then the sati that develops with right understanding of realities has to perform that function of the guarding from akusala at that moment and afterwards, even when understanding isn't there. So I found that helpful to be reminded about the sati with understanding, protecting from akusala.
Panya is now developing, see, by many conditions. And Upanishad Kodra is one, see, and other conditions as well. Just to know, to learn a little by little, to understand that actually these truth of these realities can be directly experienced. Otherwise, what's the use of study, of talking about this? As pajya for higher understanding. And more letting go, but little by little, so very little unknown that they are working all the time to reach or to obtain or to be such experiences. Later, we don't know when, unexpected all the time.
So when you are talking about Gochara, you are talking about the development of sati and panya at satipatthana level and vipassana level. So it's not that level of pariyatti. Is it right?
We talk about this moment because there is aramana at this moment, but to understand the truth, just ordinary moment as usual, or there is the understanding, even intellectually, that it can be directly experienced the truth later, when there is more and more understanding of the nature of whatever appears as that which is seen now is the reality, only one reality that can be seen. It means that no other reality like hardness and sound and smell and chitta and chitasikas, other rupas beside this one cannot be seen. See, beginning to understand each moment as by conditions. But we don't name any condition. And we learn later about what condition that. But there must be the understanding of this object, the understand the Kojara, not the usual Aramana, the Aramana of Buddha, who has enlightened the truth of it and show the truth of this moment as it is. That's why we learn to understand now that that which is seen is a reality that can be seen. Later, where is it? Without the four Mahabhuta-rupas, can there be any object which can be seen? It's there. But it arises together with the four primary rupas to understand the non-self, little by little, from this moment to other moment, from this reality to other reality, until all can be known by conditions. From not understanding anything at all, that the object which Buddha experienced is the truth of each object as usual that can be seen, but the truth of it is hidden until Buddha developed the parami, all kinds of kusala, to condition the moment of directly understanding the truth. So this is the beginning to understand what should be understood at the moment of it is experienced, not anything as before. But the truth is that it's only that which cannot be a table impinged on the eye base or a chair or anything, only that which is there with the four primary rupas, which can be seen. Only that, and then gone completely, never to return. Everything which arises has to fall away. This is the beginning of understanding what appears, and what appears is the object of that which experiences little by little. Understand the truth of this moment which is there. And that is the beginning of understanding what the object is, not as it appears as before. And that is by understanding the truth of it, the nature of it. And the nature of it is Upa Nisaya Kojra. It cannot be known directly at once now, but from hearing and considering, which is the self, or Ajitta and Jitasikas at different moments, working, functioning, its own characteristic and function. See, nobody can perform that function. The I, no I, to be sati, to be panya, to be kusala or akusala. They are different realities, conditioned realities. That's the meaning of understanding the anatthaness of whatever is there. As it is, the kojara sampajanya must be the understanding that which appears as its true nature, not as it is before. What is seen now, without the Upanishad Kojara, the words of the Buddha from his enlightenment, it is its object that share us to understand the truth. There cannot be the right answer that it's only that which can impinge on the eye base. And from then the seeing arises to experience it. Nobody can stop the nature of that which arises to experience it. It's there. See, by conditions later, to know what conditions the moment of seeing, to understand the truth that it's not self. That's why there are different kojara, the Upanishad kojara, the understanding of the truth of the object as it is, which can bring about or lead to all kinds of kusala to develop more. Because when it's the moment of akusala, it's impossible to understand anything because the nature of the reality which cannot understanding is there. It's not I or you or anyone. It is that which which can experience an object with ignorance, no understanding, impossible for that reality to understand, because it is the nature which cannot understand whatever appears just right now at this moment. When it's not that which can be seen, it's something. Wrong understanding, taking that which arises and falls away in split seconds to be something. See, who knows it is wrong? It seems right. I see it clearly. It's different from one another. But that is not right. At that moment, no other thing, no thing at all. Only a reality, no matter we call it what, is there and is seen. Otherwise, one cannot say that it's there and is seen.
So here I have a question. Seeing realities as they are and understanding conditions as they are two different things or the same thing?
What is there now? Just
To
one
me,
at a time.
it's just a computer.
Pardon?
It's just a computer.
What if you don't call it? What is it?
I wish I could see a visual object, but visual object
What is
appear.
true? What is true that can be seen, that can be thought about?
Mm.
What is there which can be seen?
Mm.
The computer, or that which is there impinges on the iris and appear as different color.
Yeah,
Even if you name it or call it, it's different, see? And when it is different, it means that there must be one moment of experiences this and another moment of experience that. So there can be the idea that they are different, right?
Yes.
So at moment of seeing, a moment of seeing, can there be many color?
Yeah.
Not only one. If you think that are many, there must be other different seeing of each color, right?
Mm.
So only a moment of seeing, that which is seen cannot be taken for anything, but only that which is seen. You don't have to name it light or dark or white or green at all, but it's there as it is. The arising and falling away so very rapidly, which can be proved now, as soon as one open one's eyes. So many things appear at once. You cannot tell what is first and later, little by little, because of the rapidity of the succession of the arising and falling away, right? And this hides the truth of everything, that actually there cannot be so many things together at once. There must be just one moment of experiences, one object at a time, but the rapidity can form up the idea of something like the magician, see? So very quickly, we don't know how it works to be such and such trick, but Chitta experiences only one object at a time, see? And as this is not the object of Buddha, there's no enlightenment. But before his enlightenment, so many parami to develop to protect the moment of akusala to arise, to hide or to covers up the truth again and again and again. That's why each word of truth which is heard can be object of careful and wise considering about its truth, that it cannot be changed. That which is seen is not hard, is not soft, or is it? See, so life, each moment, so very rapidly from up the idea of I or thing all the time from birth, right? Is that right or wrong? True or not?
Yes.
What is absolute truth? Discovered by the enlightenment of the Buddha. After his enlightenment, what he said, Dhamma is so very subtle, very deep, very difficult to understand. This is his words after his enlightenment. It shows the truth of each moment of each reality, that it cannot appear as it is because of the rapidity of the arising and falling away. Like Chitta, it seems that never fall away at all. There must be Chitta all the time, but they are different. So just one at a time. Otherwise, there cannot be any difference at all. See? And this is the beginning of learning to understand what is the Upanishya Kojra, the Aramana of the Buddha. See? But it can be known from his teaching, which begin to teach just one object, one word at a time. but with so many explanation about that word to bring about the understanding of the truth at level of intellectual understanding, which will lead to the other higher understanding, to be the direct understanding, the beginning of the development of understanding the Upanishad culture as it is, as different from the other moment, which takes it for something permanent. And this is the beginning of understanding the difference. So later it can penetrate the truth of each one as it arises and falls away instantly, rapidly, unexpectedly. See, or at anatta, it will lead to more confidence on what is heard, like anatta, no self, no one at all. But as long as it's not the understanding directly of the nature of the object, it's not the higher understanding which will lead to the higher penetration from the surface down deeper and deeper to understand the truth, which is there. Each moment right now, see, can be known naturally because of no one can control anything to arise. But panya, right understanding, can understand any object as it is. Otherwise, the idea of self is still there. But that is not enough. The Four Noble Truths is not only dukkha, dukkha ariya satya. See? Is there lopa now attached to that which appears as soon as it appears? Three chittas after seeing moment, it's there, the asava. No one can stop akusa, which is accumulated so great, so many moments in life, not to condition the moment of asava, even at the moment of not taking it for anything at all. It's there. Whatever appears is the object of attachment. Because of ignorance, not understanding that it's conditioned to be just that, only one very short moment in lifetime, never to return in samsara, cannot be found anymore. So where's the I? Where's the thing? Where's the computer? Only the idea of moment to moment, from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, everything in life, unknown, until the enlightenment of the Buddha. What else can bring about the understanding of whatever appears now? See, not one's own thinking, it's impossible. But from hearing the words from the only one in the universe, no matter how many universes, only one person is so wise that no one can compare.
Achan, I was just thinking that when we hear about the three gochara, and you was talking about the complexity of conditions, automatically when we hear about this, there's thinking about it and then trying to work it out and all that. Yet I'm reminded that it's only what appears now that is the object of right understanding. It's so important to hear a lot of Dhamma and about everything, to otherwise it's never enough. And because there's so much attachment and ignorance. We hear about seeing visible object, trying to catch, and yet we can see that it's never enough to listen to Dhamma and discuss and hear it from, especially from a wise friend.
That's why what is said in Tipitaka is that if you learn the sutta wrongly, it conditions the idea of self. For example, it's not like Abhidhamma, Citta, and Cetasika, even it is Citta and Cetasika, but the different way of explaining it is different because of his wisdom of enlightenment. So just saying that there's no self, is it enough? Not at all. It's only the moment of experiencing an object, not enough. Not enough at all. Until pariyatti means the skill of understanding the words of the Buddha. It means not just one word, all the words, as long as Panya can be able to experience that, not as Buddha, not as Sariputta, not as Mokkhandana, but as it can be known. Only that. That is why there is also the ordinary Savaka, which is not mentioned in the Tipitaka, because Panya experiences the same thing at every level. It cannot change or make this level to be the higher one. That's why the truth is Satya, Ariya Satya, for those who understand the truth very, very wisely, care, and without the idea of trying to understand by yourself or think by yourself. But each word should be carefully studied. Even the word Upa Nisya Kojara, see, we just passed without understanding the depth of it. That even it's now what Panya experience, what Aramana, see. That's why, since it's so very deep, very profound, very subtle, it cannot be object of desire or attachment, because even how much one is attached to or desire to have it, it's impossible as long as there's no understanding of it. And this is the way to eliminate the attachment to that which appears little by little. Who can do anything? It's there already. While we are talking, they're seeing all the time. Who condition it to arise? No one, but there are its proper conditions with many, many conditions, not only one. And when there is no Upanishad Kojara as condition at all, how can there be further less clinging to the object right now? Can this should be the object of understanding rather than ignorance? Only when Panya is there. That's why so many people are not interested in studying or hearing the teachings at all, by conditions. And for those, it begins to be bound by the understanding little by little, not to go away from hearing again and again, consider again and again, until it's clear enough.
Ajahn, can we say that the hearing and understanding about Sutta Maya Panya, Chinta Maya Panya, Bhavana Maya Panya, Pariyati Patipati Pativeda, Satyayana, Kitayana, Katayana, and Upanishad Gochara, Arakha Gochara, Upadi Bandha Gochara, all support each other, help each other, the understanding of each other?
Certainly, that is Pakatupanishad Pachya. Because how can there be the understanding of all these words without wise attention, wise consideration, reflection, and so on? Not only once, again and again. What is the Kojara? It's different from Aramana. And why it is Upanishad Kojara? Shouldn't it be the object that developed or shouldn't be neglected. Just the word, understanding the word, that's all. That is not enough at all. Only one word like all Dhammas. See, does anyone understand Dhamma yet? See, not just all Dhammas are anatta. Everyone can say that. But what about the understanding of the word Dhamma? Not just the meaning, but the reality of Dhamma. See, it goes deeper and deeper down to the truth that actually nothing, because whatever is conditioned to arise has to arise and then fall away. No one can stop the way it is. It has to be that. And it's conditioned the next moment to follow instantly, to arise after its panka khana, the moment of gone. There must be the other moment by the condition of the past one. Of the preceding one, condition the next one already. So who can stop the arising of the next citta after the previous citta?
Ajahn, here you're referring to Anantara Pachaya?
Yes, see, we call it by name, but the understanding is there to understand as soon as there is a hearing of Anantara Pachaya, because of there is the understanding. But to moment of hearing the word Anantara Pachaya without understanding what is that, see, who knows? It's not the Rupa. The Rupa doesn't have Anantara Pachaya, but each citta has the Anantara Pachaya. Only the death moment of the Buddha is the final death, no condition, no, not any Pachaya to condition the next. See, no one, only Pachaya. That's why just to learn about the truth is not enough. The 7 books of Abhidhamma, see, each word talks about whatever is now, which is unknown before, to develop understanding, to directly experience it, which is vipassana jnana. That's why there are so many different levels of panya. And as it's true, it can be known directly, but not with ignorance, but with the understanding of each directly with panya. Citta experiences the object directly, but no panya, see? So when it's direct panya, it has to be with sati, arises and experience the object with understanding, not with ignorance as before.
Concerning these 3 types of gochara, yeah, you said that they have to be developed with parami. And I do not understand parami. If one develops sati and panya, do parami increase automatically, or one has to be very conscious about developing of parami as well?
So we have to understand what is parami from the very beginning. What is meant by parami. If we don't know the point, we cannot.
For me, just 10 types of kusala.
Okay, at this moment when there is understanding, is it parami?
Probably not.
It leads to what? Nowhere, or the understanding, the perfect understanding of the truth. which is not now, but it will lead to less and less attachment and ignorance
Yeah.
until there can be conditions for moment of directly experiencing it, because our akusla moment cannot understand anything at all. Even sati and panya, it doesn't know what is there, what is it. See? So without panya, no way to attain enlightenment, the absolute truth, the noble truth of each moment of reality right now. So the meaning of parami is that which can condition from moment to moment to understand the truth of this moment as Buddha has enlightened. So our akusala cannot be parami. The kusala without panya cannot be parami. But the kusala with panya will lead to more moment of kusala, because the understanding directly of whatever appears now cannot arise at all without the development of parami from the level of intellectual understanding. There is no I. So what is there to be parami? The wholesome cetasikas like sati and panya and manasikara, wise attention, and so on, all are conditions from moment to moment leading to understanding the truth, because akusala cannot understand the truth. But the kusala without panya cannot understand either, because each cetasika perform its own function because of its own different characteristic that cannot be changed. No one there. So the moment of kusala can condition moment of direct awareness later. So they are parami. But it needs the foundation, the basis, the understanding of the truth to condition such and such level of parami. For example, if there is unpleasant feeling right now, it's conditioned, it's not self. So what is it? See, what are there at moment of unpleasant feeling? See, so many cetasikas arising together with unpleasant feeling. Learn to understand each one, to understand that each one cannot be taken for self or anything permanent at all. This is parami, even thinking about the truth, because without thinking, without pariyati, sutamaya panya, there cannot be cintamaya panya, and there can never be bhavana panya, because bhavana is the development of understanding. So it needs the kusala moment, and it needs the understanding as its base or basis for each moment of kusala to condition the moment of direct awareness, which is satipatthana. See?
I have a question about Chintamaya Panya. It's a wise consideration, contemplation, isn't it? But
And now,
to be honest,
and later,
I'm very afraid of thinking too much. It's, for me, it seems to be the involvement of self. Self is thinking.
so where is panya? It's lost?
No.
Or it's there to develop, to condition at the moment of more panya, little by little, to hear again, and in a day, what are you thinking about? Different things. But from hearing, it can be conditioned for thinking to arise, thinking about the truth that one has heard, even it's not directly object of satipatthana yet, but it's there to be conditioned for that moment to arise later. That's why even there is Suttamaya Panya, it conditioned moment of Chintamaya Panya. For example, at moment of getting angry with someone, see, no Panya at that moment. But later, after hearing and considering and understanding better and better, it can condition moment of thinking about that, which is not self. So what are you angry with? The eye, the nose, or what? See, it brings about different thought for each different one, unexpectedly, by conditions all the time. And just for once in lifetime, never to return. But it conditioned other women to think about it again and again. That's why when there are more akusla, it condition moment of akusla. And when there's more kusla, it can condition more moment of kusla. So the daily life is a proof for the panya and each level of understanding, even intellectual understanding. Intellectually think about the moment of anger as it's not me, there is no one. So why being angry with that and that, which is none, nothing, gone already completely. It brings about little by little to be food of the direct awareness to arise. That's why it has to be so very natural. It means that that person understands the unnothingness of reality. But if one tries with the idea that I shall attain such degree by sitting and don't move and doing such and such concentration, it's impossible to eliminate the idea of self because of no panya at all. It's wrong understanding. The self is there with attachment all the time, lurking at any corner of that very moment, unknown, see, until it's known by different level of panya. From learning what are the Four Noble Truths and what is what, on and on and on, until it is conditions for a certain moment of direct awareness of an object. Cannot choose at all because it hasn't arisen yet. How can we know? How can we expect? Because actually all depends on conditions. That's why people have different characteristics, different tendencies, see? Uncontrollable. It's conditioned already to appear. No moment to prepare for it.
Concerning the development of sati and panya, you often use the Thai phrase, which is ahan raren. I do not quite understand the meaning of ahan raren. It's something like courageous and joyous.
Brave, no fear, not being afraid of anything. Because the truth is the truth. Actually, there's no I, no one, no her, no him.
And why is it joyful, full of joy?
Understanding the truth is quite cheerful and quite pleasant, released. It's not like I want so hard to know this and that. See, its nature appears, but no understanding to know that what kind of reality is there as not self. To be brave enough to understand that even at this moment, it's just the moment of the arising of the conditioned experiencing and the object. Only that's all in a day, from moment to moment, unseen, hidden, so very closely.
Ahan Laren, is it your phrase or the frame from Tipitaka?
When you are brave enough to understand the truth, at moment, is it Rare and Athan?
Mm. Mm.
No fear that actually there's no me, no I, nothing at all. It's the truth. Quite a release.
Mm.
For example, today, when there's an idea that one has to do something to develop the paramis,
Mm.
it's not joyful because it's the idea of I that must do something. It's like a burden. What should I do? But when there is the understanding that nothing to do at all, no one to do anything, that the paramis just develop naturally with understanding, then it's joyful because it's not, there isn't that burden of I must do something.
Yeah,
Like getting rid of the baggage on one's back.
yeah, it's a point I'd like to know, because when I hear 10 paramis, yeah, somehow I feel that I have to develop these good qualities.
And then it's not joyful, and then it's not brave enough to just develop naturally. So it's like a burden of what I must do. I must develop the paramis one by one. And in fact, it has the opposite result. Instead of developing the paramis, it's just developing more wrong practice and more wrong view of what I must do. Not the understanding of reality now as conditioned, not self.
Also, if there are expectations of what one's level of development should be, but is not, or if there is comparing oneself with others who may appear to have more understanding, things like that, it will never be that feeling of absence of fear or relief.
Okay, very clear. Thank you.
So that's why the Upanishad Gotra leading to the Upanibandha Gotra, which is Satipatthana and so on, is the letting go of the burden of wrong view and the idea of trying. It's the unbinding from that wrong idea that I can develop the paramis, or I must have more goodness, or I must be a better person, all these ideas.
Yeah, I have a kind of fear that I have to develop paramis. It's my sort of kind of fear, because I'm concerned with developing of sati and panya, yeah? And I do not do anything special for the development of paramis.
I think it's a good topic to continue next week. I can tell that. Next week we can continue.
That's an excellent topic to start with. Thanks. Thank you, Ajahn. Khop khun mak.
Sawasdee kha.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.